G'day, welcome to New Game Plus TV live on Twitch. You might be hanging out with us live on Twitch on C31, C44, or listening as a podcast. My name's Cringe, and this week I'm joined by Jason and Don. This week on the show, we've got a space episode. We were decided, because of the games you guys have been playing, Don, you kind of kicked it off with Star Wars Squadron, which is it VR exclusive?
No, it's VR option. VR is part of it, but no, you can't play it on a flat screen, as the VR community likes to call it.
Oh dear Lord!
Yeah, I know,
the
right?
worst thing you've ever said. Oh my God! If I couldn't have any more disdain for VR, oof.
I'm sorry, I can't see or hear you coming from the world of tomorrow.
Unless he drops it.
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
You've been playing Rebel Galaxy Outlaw.
Yeah, so Rebel Galaxy is a game that came out a while ago, I'm pretty sure. From memory, it was, I want to say 2018. And they made Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which is like a more focused version. You take on the role of, I can't remember her name. God, what a great review. And it's kind of, her husband dies, and it's a little bit more edgy and a little bit more kind of, to go with Don's thing, Han Solo-y. So it's been really good. I bought it out on a whim. Actually, I take that back. I got sent that one on a whim. They said, "Hey, do you want to give this a try?" I said, "Yep," and I've loved it. I've played hours and hours of it. So very keen to talk about that in depth.
Good stuff. Well, all of that's coming up later on in the show, but first, Sony, they have detailed backward compatibility on PS5. In a PlayStation blog post, Sony said more than 99% of the 4,000 plus games available on PS4 will be playable on PS5. Just 10 titles have been designated as incompatible, and they'll be labeled as playable on PS4 only in the PlayStation Store. They include Afro Samurai 2, DWVR, Hitman Go, Joe's Diner, Just Deal With It, Robinson the Journey, Shadow Complex Remastered, Shadwen, TT Isle of Man, and We Sing, which I'm sure we're all really going to miss. The blog post also outlined the PS5's Game Boost feature, which will deliver improved or more stable frame rates. Some titles with unlocked frame rates or dynamic resolution up to 4K may see higher fidelity and improved loading speeds with Game Boost. Having the ability to transfer game saves between a PS4 and PS5 version of the same game is up to the developer, though, and will vary title by title for cross-generational games. I'd like to say, oh wow, who would have guessed that Sony has been a little bit crap on, on cross-gen, on back and pat, but literally who didn't see this coming?
They had to do it. I think at some point, you have to recognize that they kind of had to do this because, for
and
ages,
even then they were
Microsoft,
dragging their feet.
Yeah, Microsoft have controlled the agenda around backwards compatible for a long time. And so suddenly Sony, we have it. Don't worry, for PS4, just for PS4 though. It really is the elephant in the room. Microsoft is saying anything that you've ever played on a Xbox One will play now on a Xbox Series X as well, and all the new stuff on top of that.
Yep.
Plus, I think they're looking at expanding on that as well. So, they've kind of hard committed to this ongoing support for thing. Again, it goes back to the conversation. They're trying to set up an ecosystem. Sony are trying to set up the new gen experience, but I think they're underestimating how big a pool having all your old games available is. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird that that they've suddenly out of the blue decided that, oh no, it turns out we're actually going to do it, guys. Don't worry. Forget all that conjecture we've had for literally months. We're definitely doing it. Don't worry. It's fine.
U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers has granted Epic's injunction, preventing Apple from removing Epic's developer account and denying iOS developers access to the Unreal Engine. However, Gonzalez-Rogers also ruled that Apple is allowed to keep Fortnite off the App Store. Citing the magnitude of the case, the judge presiding over the ongoing Apple vs. Epic legal case has stopped Apple from terminating Epic's developer account, which would prevent the company from releasing updates for the Unreal Engine on iOS. However, Fortnite will remain banned on iOS. A court date has been scheduled in 2021, which could potentially determine an outcome for the trial. While it's unclear where the court stands on the legal fight between Epic and Apple, Gonzalez-Rogers wrote in their injunction grant, Epic Games has strong arguments regarding Apple's exclusive distribution through the iOS App Store and the in-app purchase system, which Apple takes 30% of certain in-app purchase payments. But they added, however, given the limited record, Epic Games have not sufficiently addressed Apple's counter arguments, which is exactly what you've been saying, Jason. It's like, that's, all well and good, but like, what do you have to stand on here?
I think the Epic the Unreal Engine thing is Apple being spiteful, just to say, well, if you want to sign up with them, kind of go fuck yourself.
Rubbing the salt in.
Yeah. So to me, I think that is a bad. I think it's a bad look for them, kind of no matter what. But realistically, there's no shortage of like the people at Unity must be going, yeah, good. But Tim Cook doesn't owe you the right to sell Fortnite. Like if you wanted it, then you'll just pay the rate that they want. If you don't want it, then cool. Like Android's there, PC's there. You can go on the Xbox, you can go on PlayStation, you can go on Switch, you can go on anything. You don't have to be on Apple. You do not have to be here.
Xbox head Phil Spencer has told Microsoft employees that the company is planning on bringing xCloud game streaming, the xCloud game streaming service to iOS via a direct browser-based solution. xCloud is Microsoft's streaming service, which allows Game Pass subscribers to play their games through a cloud streaming platform without owning their own hardware. It's probably worth pointing out. Previously, Apple blocked the release of the service on the App Store due to internal policy requiring every game on Game Pass to be individually reviewed. xCloud, meanwhile, was released on the Google Play Store with zero incident. Spencer is reported to have told his employees, we will absolutely end up on iOS. The solution of offering xCloud through a browser window rather than through an app echoes what Amazon is proposing with its recently announced Luma game streaming service. It's worth pointing out, so also with xCloud, I wasn't under the impression that we were getting xCloud in Australia. That seems to have changed, right?
No, like it was always going to launch in, have a limited launch right out the gate. I'm surprised Australia wasn't included in that, given that Australia is typically one of the go-to regions for if you want to soft launch something, given that we have a similar demographic to America, except we just don't have the scale of America if something goes awry. Yeah, having said that though, xCloud is reportedly coming to being made available in Australia in 2021. Well, for Android users for the time being, until Microsoft releases this browser-based solution.
Yeah. We're also going to get console streaming, which you would think is just like in-home streaming via Wi-Fi. So you can play on your phone with your controller connected to your phone via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi back to your home console if someone's using the main TV. It seems like you're going to be able to do that over a cellular network as well. So if you've got your phone and your Xbox controller out on the go and you've got access to 4G, better if you've got 5G, but there are so few 5G phones out at the moment and the coverage is pretty spotty.
Microsoft already, Game Pass is kind of that. I've downloaded a bunch of stuff I've played once and gone, cool, gone. You know what I mean? Like I've deleted it. And a lot of the Game Pass games, the kind of the trick is the full game's there. And I mean, you're still talking stuff like Witcher where it's like 60 to 100 hours.
The base game is enormous.
Yeah, and then you buy the DLC. It's like, so that's how they get you. But stuff like Destiny. Destiny's there in its entirety. Like if you've got Game Pass, welcome to Destiny. I mean,
yes, Jason, welcome to Destiny.
Don't even get me started. I've been playing it with Cloney.
That is the news of this week. Stick around. We've got more video game goodness coming up in just a sec. It's here on New Game Plus TV, live on Twitch. You might be hanging out on C31, C44, or listening as a podcast. I'm Cringe, here with Jason and Don. Don, kicking us directly off into space. You've been playing Star Wars Squadron, which is not a VR exclusive game, but you can play it in VR, and I have not really paid much attention to anything Star Wars recently, so you'll have to give me a bit of a rundown as to what's going on.
Well, a long time ago in a galaxy far from here.
No, not that much, please.
That joke was dead on arrival. It's an odd one for Star Wars and EA as well, because you normally you associate them with big, bombastic AAA titles. This is not that. This almost feels like a B title in its announcement and its release. It's like it kind of flew under the radar, and it's got the kind of the scope of a B game. There isn't too much. There isn't too much. You have a fairly short campaign. You have two multiplayer modes, so it's pretty small in scope, and yet, with everything combined, it kind of has AAA production level. So in a way, it's kind of like an A game. It also does a good job of nailing what it feels like to fly a Star Wars X-Wing or a TIE fighter. I'll just say out front, Jason, just to cut off your question.
Yeah, fine.
It's not as hardcore. It's not as hardcore as TIE fighter is. It's kind of more Simcade might be the best analogy. Let's put this on a scale here. Over on over on the most basic side, you have something like, say, Rogue Squadron or the flight mechanics in Battlefront 2. On the other side, you have a legit World War II flight simulator. TIE Fighter was somewhere about the 75-80% range. I would say that this is kind of in the 50% range, 40 to 60% range in terms of how it feels between arcade and simulator, because you still there are plenty of gizmos and gadgets that you do have a lot of control over your certain aspects of the ship. So you can divert power between the engines and weapons and shields on the fly. You can, so if you want to really speed towards a combat arena, you can divert all power to your engines and boost your way there. Once you're there, you can divert all powers to the engines and take out the enemy inside. You can also do the needly things about changing which direction your shields are facing, and you can also edit the loadout that your ship has as well. So you can focus on a loadout that really attacks capital ships, or a loadout that just prioritizes taking down other enemy combatants. But that's kind of the extent of it all. It doesn't go as hardcore as TIE Fighters. You can't, for instance, order you can't order the systems that will be repaired when you press the repair button. The only thing you have to worry about is your shield levels and your hull integrity as a single 100-point health thing. That's about it. It's your standard Star Wars fodder. Anyway, I believe it's set post Episode 6, so the Death Stars are destroyed, but the Empire and the Rebellion are still duking it out in their war.
The last vestiges of the old Empire kind of thing.
Yeah, so the game primarily, you play from both sides here, which is the whole gimmick of you start off as part of the Empire, but your admiral, your captain rather, has a change of heart and decides to switch over to the Republic, where you have a few missions playing as them with this former Empire head as your leader, as you try to take down the big baddies. You eventually switch back to the Empire as everything converges around the MacGuffin, which is a giant ship that the Republic has acquired. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination. And even in terms of Star Wars stories, it's there. It's enough to sort of give you context for the dogfighting arenas that are on offer. Yeah. Having said that, though, because this game revolves around a squadron of fellow pilots, you do have side characters on both the Republic side and the Empire. Everyone on the Republic side are real wishy-washy, boring. They're your basic Han Solo tropes. The characters on the Empire side, they're surprisingly nuanced, given the fact that this is a really short campaign, like 46 hours. So these characters are still painted with incredibly broad strokes, but you have kind of the potential for some compelling characters there.
The Star Wars stuff, if you're into Star Wars, you're probably already kind of interested. But if you don't have a grounding in Star Wars, does it... I don't want to be like, is it kind of watered down? Because you mentioned that spectrum between arcade and sim. Does it kind of hedge its bets enough that someone that's kind of loosely interested in this kind of gameplay, say they are into Star Wars a little bit, but not fully, that they would jump all the way in, is it accessible enough that people that might be like, well, that's not my kind of game, it might be worth having a look at?
Like I said, even though the systems are there in terms of diverting power and shield and things like that, it's not something you particularly have to engage in. If you just want to whoosh around outer space, the potential is very much there. You won't necessarily recreate the cinematic experiences from the movies. Like in the campaign, there are things approaching the trench. There are trench runs, lowercase t, lowercase r, but you don't have the capital T, capital R trench run from Episode 4. So you're not going to be recreating it. So it's a step above the sort of old Star Wars arcade machines that you had back when we could go outside. I remember the trench run. Yeah, but I'd say there is certain it is accessible enough for someone who knows what they're getting into in terms of flight combat. They will be sated, and the people who are hardcore flight sim nerds, there is enough support for their kit that they will be able to like use this as sort of a casual, relaxed, happy fun time when they're not dogfighting in World War II flight simulators or something like, say, Elite Dangerous.
Star Wars Squadrons is out now on Microsoft Windows, PS4, and Xbox One. Don, you've been playing it on using VR on Windows.
I'm playing on PC, and I've been playing with an Oculus Rift vanilla, and I've not really experienced any performance issues. Though do check forums and discussions because other headsets have reported issues in terms of trying to get a consistent frame rate together.
You're hanging out with us here on New Game Plus TV. Stick around. We'll be back talking more video games in just a little bit.
One game I have been playing, Jack, on the Switch is Rebel Galaxy Outlaw.
Tell me more.
Okay, I will.
Great.
I was like, Jack's going to say something, anything, please. That's all right.
Should we draw even more attention to the pause? We can do that.
That's fine. Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is a spin-off of Rebel Galaxy. Rebel Galaxy came out 2015, apparently. I did some research while we were on break. And Don, no, I've never played it. So keep in mind that I went into this completely fresh. It was something that I saw in my inbox, and there was something I saw, like I watched a trailer of and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. Got real freelancer, real wing commandery kind of vibes. And as someone who, in that era, I never had a PC that was really capable of running those kind of games. So it was like, all right, well, let's see if I can play this and enjoy it. And basically, it starts off
relive the childhood that could be.
Yeah, look, the main character, basically, her husband gets killed. She finds the guy who does it, well, the alien who does it, goes to kill him, fails, and then it starts off. It starts off, and it's like, I've got to follow this guy. She's been injured, but she hasn't been any kind of like trader, smuggler, whatever for years. So you start off with your tiny little, literally like a trash ship, and build up from there. And basically, it's about finding out the main story quest, but at the same time, you can go and do mining or do trading or all that to try to build up your funds and build up your esteem to get enough to buy the better ships and buy the better this and buy the better that. And the one thing the game, with a lot of these kind of games is this one specifically makes you specialize. If you want to be a trader, you kind of need to build that way. So you need to get ships that have more cargo space, and you're going to lose out on ability to necessarily fight and dogfight and all this kind of stuff in order to gain more ability to carry cargo. Vice versa, the opposite of that, of course, is you can spec fully in a mercenary, get top of the line fighter jets with multiple missile hard points and laser hard points and all this kind of stuff. And so the one thing the game does let you do is kind of play to this, whichever of those strengths you want to do, or you can sit somewhere in the middle. Like there's some of the ships there are really good. They may not have the most shields, but they've got a few hard points and they've got a decent cargo space and blah blah blah. I played it on Switch. My only regret is I should have got it on a PS4 and Xbox, because I think it does it more justice on these kind of high-powered consoles. As you're flying around, you'll have like radio stations and stuff like that you can select through. A couple of the main mechanics are basically, like Don mentioned for Star Wars Squadron, you can go full shield. So if you're gonna just you need to survive like an explosion, full shields to stop that hit, and then full engines. I've done that multiple times. So you'll do a mission, right? You can pick up missions from guilds, or you can pick it up from space stations. You go to the space stations, you pick it up. It might be cool, you've got to deliver this, and sometimes the delivery missions are easy. You might get stopped, you might not. You might just be on your way. So it's like, oh, cool, I've got to go to the way that the universe does different kind of solar systems is basically there's jump gates. You go to the jump gate, and you're off to the next one. But they're all kind of interconnected. So each system, will be connected to another one by a series of gates. So to get to, you're in Texas system, and they're all named after basically Western states, and you need to get to Juarez system. So you can go through, the 5 or 6 jumps you'll need to get there, or you can do it in 3 jumps. But you have to go through the dangerous gate, the unregulated gate. So you might come out the other side and you've lost all power to one of your guns because the energy, or you've crashed into a rock or whatever on the way. So there is a lot of risk reward in the way that the game plays.
From the gist that I'm getting from a lot of the visuals and a lot of what you've detailed about the rest of the game, it's much more of an open world, much more of seeing the radio in the ship. It seems like a playground in the same vein of like a Red Dead or a GTA or something. Do you think that that's sort of a fair way to put it?
Not really. It's multiple different small systems. So Red Dead, I could get on a horse. I could leave Mexico. Red Dead 2, I could leave Mexico on a horse and ride all the way to Valentine, which is like Montana.
Yeah.
In one thing, I could just get on a horse and ride, and it would take me there and think. Each individual system requires a jump gate. So when you get to that jump gate, you can do it. However, inside of that system, you can fast travel if you want, or you can go into like sublight speed, which is super fast. So you just go, cool, I want to go over there, sublight, hit sublight, off it goes. But that said, you're still then limited by, you might get attacked by hostiles, you might crash into a meteorite, you know what I mean? Like, so there are still things that you need to account for. But inside those systems, absolutely. And some of the systems are more interesting than others. Some systems are literally just there to be jump gates, and you might see a refill station. There's a Caballeros is the refill stations. They refill your missiles, refill your things. You're literally there, refill your stuff, keep going. It's like the gas station in the middle of the drive. But then you go to other stations and it'll be like, cool, there's 2 Commonwealth stations, 2 independent stations, and like a pirate camp here. This is an interesting system.
Given the sort of flexibility and the creativity that you as a player have the opportunity to try and explore, you mentioned the difficulty earlier. And that, as someone who is terrible at games, means that it sounds a bit intimidating, especially if, like, even at normal, it's a reasonable challenge. Is there much of an effort put towards accessibility for players that maybe aren't even familiar with?
Hold ZL. Honestly, like the ZL thing is real broken. Every dogfight becomes easy because suddenly you can just chase them down. So you still do have to be wary of the wider scope and the wider implications of stuff. You still get access to, you can be the trader, you can be all this, blah, 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 blah. There's still those kind of offerings there. And there is, you can set it so that auto aim will exist normally. I've turned it off entirely, and that's why a game is harder for me, because normally if you aim for the circle you'll hit them, but you can set it so that the guns themselves will automatically aim for the circle, if that makes sense. So that'll definitely make it easier, and that'll take a lot of that variability out of the dogfights that may be causing issues. But as far as like the trading and stuff goes, it doesn't really need to be played with. Like,
most of the survival and like when you were talking about energy, the survival and the combat side of things is where the difficulty sounds, I don't want to say prohibitive, but like more of the concern. I guess you mentioned that you went from normal to harder. Does it let you go the other way as well, or is normal the easiest it is?
No, I'm pretty sure you can change it on the fly. But keep in mind, there's two more levels beyond what I am playing at the moment.
Right. Okay.
So so beyond the levels what I'm playing at, there's 2 more difficulty levels, and I don't know what anyone would get out of playing at that difficulty. But that's, you know what I mean, like
that's basically elite dangerous territory there.
Star Citizen, let's go.
Well, the other one as well is, as you go into stations, so when you dock into a station and you leave that station, you save. So if you're going to try anything risky, do it after you've just left the station, because you'll just restart back on that station. But you do lose. So one of the things you can do, you can go into, again, like the old Wild West saloons. You go into the saloon, you say, hey, is there any bounties going at the moment? And they'll turn around to you and they'll say, oh yeah, here's a few. If you do die, you will lose access to them, so you don't know where they are anymore. But that's the main thing that you'll lose. Like any mission stuff that you have on board, you won't lose anything like that. So the penalty for dying isn't huge. It's just that you will die more than you think. I don't know. I'm really loving the game. I've played dozens of hours of it. I'll play more of it as time goes on. But very, very much can recommend. But it is a tough. Some of the dogfights and some of the difficulty can get real tough later on.
Cool. So Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is out now on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. I imagine as part of that delayed launch, it would be out on Steam as well now.
It is on Steam. Yeah, cool. For sure. Yeah.
But it was on Epic Store or whatever. And it's fine on Switch, but you can tell that it's running on Switch is basically the only thing you gotta say about that.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're playing it here, it's So look, I don't recommend playing on Switch, but if that's the platform you buy it on, it's still fun.
Cool. That actually brings us to the end of the show for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you want to see us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /New Game Plus TV. On Twitch, we stream the show every Thursday, 8 p.m. ish. Twitch.tv /New Game Plus TV. And you can actually find the full video show there as well, because if you're watching on TV, you're getting about 25 minutes of what was a hour and 45-minute show. So feel free to check that out if you want more on Star Wars, Squadron, and Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. Forgotten all the name of the games that we were talking about.
Rogue Squadron and Rebel Star Wars.
Look, I'm just happy that it wasn't like
space game
like 5 word subtitle.
Yeah.
I'm not here for that. On YouTube, youtube.com/newgameplustv, and the website is newgameplus.tv. We also are on SoundCloud, so if you want to find us on your favorite podcasting app, you can do that. Jason and Don, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank you, audience. Thank you, Jack.
Yes, thank you for watching at home, and we'll catch you next time.